Hey guys, what's going on? I'm James with Monster City Studios, and this is Jenny Whipple.
What's up?
She's a scenic artist here at Monster City, and she's going to show you today how she scenics metal. So a fake panel that's made out of foam, coated in polyurea, and then she will paint it and make it look old. So this is going to be a fun one. I hope you stay tuned, and remember, smash that like button and all that good stuff.
Subscribe button.
Do the thing.
So we've got our little hard-coated piece here. We just had James hard-coat it with some polyurea. Now we're gonna go through and add a little bit of rust, where rust would naturally form, and kind of getting stuff on the edges and a little bit throughout. Grab some Bondo. So I kind of mix a lot of hardener in while I'm doing my rust, because you almost want it to be a little hard when you're putting it on, so it's not like spiky. So you're gonna mix it real well. And I wanna think about like how this would form, make it kind of like organic shapes. Don't do like a really perfectly circular section. The texture that you get by kind of like just tapping it while it's curing will kind of make it look a little bit more realistic. Because if I just slap this on and then leave it with peaks like that, it's not gonna read as well. And then also sometimes I'll kind of like, when it's almost cured, kind of come around and just rub out some of those peaks a little bit. All right, so now we got a little bucket of primer here, and we're gonna prime this bad boy up so our paint sticks better and everything looks nice. You know, you guys know what's up with priming. All right, now we're just gonna tape off this middle part so we can have two different sides to show you different color and texture. So basically we're gonna take our brown black wash and our alcohol, and we're gonna start kind of spraying some of this on. And then we come back through with the alcohol, and you'll see that it kind of, really light sprays will kind of break up all of that wash and gives it like a really natural weathering effect. And then I'm coming back in with just a cotton rag and kind of dabbing that up a little bit. Spray this all over the place. And then you can see how the alcohol will just kind of break that up. And then as you tap it off, those spots with the alcohol will dry a little bit faster and give you some rings and some really nice natural looking weathering once you kind of play with it a little bit. So this is kind of where your attention to detail and your storytelling comes in, again, as you're starting to darken things up with this wash. You can think about kind of if this was sitting out in the rain or the wind for a couple days, weeks, months, whatever you're going for, and kind of darkening up some of those edges a little bit extra, or some of these little recesses that were put in there from the hard coat, just kind of using those for your storytelling and thinking about where things would naturally be a little bit darker. All right, so now I'm coming in with a little bit of darker brown on a chip brush, and I'm gonna just be kind of hitting those rust spots a little bit with some dark brown in those recesses. So later when we add our rust color on top, they'll stand out a little bit more. And I'll be coming back in with a smaller brush to do the same thing once this has its rust color on there. But for now, we're just darkening a little bit. And then at this point is also kind of when I come in with a bit of this brown and a fairly dry brush and hit some stuff that I think would get scuffed up while this is living its life. Like maybe some of these higher points have a little bit of extra wear and tear on them. You can throw in a couple little scuff marks if you want with your dry brush. Just anything that you think would kind of naturally occur while this is out in the wild, living its life, can kind of start to throw in there. So there's a couple companies that do sell rust effect paint. However, those are usually used for miniatures, and since we do a lot of large scale fabrication, we tend to just take our house paint and pre-mix our own colors so we can get really large batches of it. I'm gonna take just a little bit of this darker color that I pre-mixed and a sponge. And you wanna just kind of pick up just a little bit of that color and start really gently. And again, this is a good time to look at some reference photos for your colors and kind of like rust deposits. So I'm just picking up and wiping off and then sponging onto our Bondo. I'm gonna come in with a slightly more orange color for this rust and start giving it a little bit of highlighting. Use natural sea sponge because it has bigger holes in it and it kind of just helps bring that textured look out. Now I'm going in with an even lighter color of rust. And kind of the general rule of thumb for a lot of this is as you go lighter, you want to be applying less and less each time, just so you get like a little bit of all of those different colors peeking through. I'm adding the final color of rust, just those little tiny highlights of almost yellow orange. And then these I kind of like to speckle in just every so often. For our final touches here, we're gonna add just a little bit of metallic mixed with brown, really light on a brush. And then some of these scratches, I'm just gonna bring out as if it's scratching through to like the base metal that this was made out of, just so it kind of catches a little bit of light. I like to touch in really, really lightly with a chip brush and then kind of dab a bit off. And then you can get some nice little, barely noticeable streaks is kind of what we're going for here. And then the final thing that I like to do for my rust spots is come in with a little bit of black and brown with a really small brush. I like to kind of bring out some of those recesses in the rust, because if you look at some reference photos or just, you know, find some rust in the wild, a lot of times those places where it's really rusted through will look pretty dark. So I just find that it makes it look a lot more realistic. Now that our board is vertical, we have a little bit more movement for when we do our wash. So I'm just gonna add a couple little sprays up here so they drip down. So it kind of looks like it's been out in the rain and the wind and the elements, letting gravity do its work, and then hitting it with a rag so it doesn't drip too far. And with that, I think we're done. We got two different colors of rust, two different ways to apply the technique, and you can pretty much do it on any color you want, on anything you want. So that's how I do it.
Hey everybody, thank you for watching in today. I really, really appreciate the fact that you're watching this. And hopefully you can stay tuned because we're going to have more of these cool weathering, building, sculpting videos coming in very soon. So stick around.